The film begins with a haunting scene inside a house where we hear a man and woman arguing. Their faces aren't shown, just their shadows against the wall, casting an eerie mood. Meanwhile, a teenage girl reacts strangely to a sharp bird call in the distance. The sound seems to trigger something in her, making her body twitch as if in pain while everything around her starts to shake and vibrate unnaturally. Desperate to escape whatever is happening, the girl runs off into the woods. In the next scene, a man is on the phone, reporting to another man about the girl's disappearance. The second man, sounding oddly calm, remarks that their next subjects will be easier to control, setting the stage for something sinister. The story then shifts focus to a teenage girl named Gretchen, who is dealing with her own set of struggles. She's moving in with her father, Luis, and his new wife, Beth, at their home in the Bavarian Alps. This relocation follows the recent death of Gretchen's mother, which has left her feeling lost and resentful. Adding to her emotional turmoil, Gretchen has a mute half-sister named Alma, whom she refuses to accept. She only refers to Alma as her father's daughter, distancing herself from any familial bond. Upon arriving at their new home, the family is greeted by Dr. Koenig, the owner of a nearby hotel. Koenig offers Gretchen a job at his hotel, and she reluctantly agrees, seeing it as a way to keep herself busy. At the hotel, she also meets Dr. Bonomo, who works under Koenig and seems to play a significant role in the operation of the hotel. As part of her new life, Gretchen is encouraged to spend time with Alma. In an attempt to bond, Gretchen plays some music and starts dancing around, pretending to play an air guitar. Alma, trying to mimic her older sister, awkwardly follows along. However, their moment of connection is abruptly shattered by the piercing sound of that same strange bird call. The shrill noise causes Alma to have a seizure, her body convulsing uncontrollably. At the same time, Gretchen experiences a bizarre time loop, reliving the last few seconds over and over until Alma scratches her face, which finally breaks the loop. The noise stops just as Luis and Beth rush into the room to help Alma, leaving Gretchen confused and shaken. Gretchen starts her new job at the hotel and quickly makes friends with a woman named Trixie, who works there too. Trixie's boyfriend Eric, a local cop, also hangs around the hotel, lending a sense of security. Early in her shift, Gretchen notices a woman vomiting in the lobby, with her concerned husband by her side trying to comfort her. Later, Gretchen meets another guest named Ed, who comes to the front desk asking for a room and some beer. Despite the strange atmosphere at the hotel, Gretchen and Ed strike up a friendly conversation. They both see the same woman from earlier vomiting again, but this time, after drinking something, she quietly walks away without saying a word, adding to the unsettling vibe at the hotel. After work, Gretchen plans to ride her bike home through the woods, even though Koenig had warned her that it wasn't safe to travel alone at night. He had even offered to give her a ride, but she declined, wanting some independence. As she makes her way through the dark woods, a feeling of dread creeps up on her, and soon enough, a hooded woman appears, chasing after her. Panicked, Gretchen sprints towards a nearby station, hoping to find help. In her frantic state, she accidentally slams her head against the glass door, leaving her with a painful cut. When she looks around, the hooded woman has vanished into thin air. Later, when she files a report with Eric, he dismisses the whole thing as a prank, making Gretchen feel even more isolated and frightened. The next day at the resort, Gretchen is approached by a man named Henry, who introduces himself as a detective. He tells her that he is investigating a murder and that the woman Gretchen saw last night might be connected to the case. Henry's presence brings an air of mystery and tension, and Gretchen starts to wonder what she has gotten herself into by moving to this seemingly quiet place. Later on, Gretchen runs into Ed again, and their connection deepens. They share a cigarette, which leads to them making out and talking about running away together to Paris, a far cry from the unsettling environment they find themselves in now. However, before they can escape, Gretchen hears the familiar, horrifying screech of the bird call again. She finds herself stuck in a time loop as the hooded woman suddenly appears in the road. Ed tries to swerve to avoid her, but they end up crashing the car. The hooded woman drags Ed out of the car and throws her aside like a rag doll before coming for Gretchen. Gretchen wakes up back at the resort, disoriented and in medical care. Luis and Beth are by her side, showing concern, but it's Henry who returns to deliver more disturbing news. He reveals that the hooded woman may be responsible for the death of his wife, along with another woman in the area, likely the same vomiting woman Gretchen saw earlier. These victims were both found dead after choking on their own vomit, with their husbands helpless to save them. Gretchen, trying to make sense of everything, agrees to join Henry in investigating further. They set up a stakeout in the same suite where the woman and her husband had stayed, a place ominously named the Lover's Lounge. Meanwhile, Trixie and Eric decide to have a private romantic evening in that same suite, unaware of the danger lurking nearby. As Eric steps out to grab something, the bird call rings out again, trapping Eric in the same eerie time loop Gretchen had experienced. The hooded woman appears, scaring Trixie into unconsciousness. As Trixie lies helpless, the hooded woman attempts to implant some kind of goo inside her, hinting at something much darker and more terrifying. Gretchen and Henry arrive just in time to chase the woman away and turn Trixie on her side to prevent her from choking on her vomit, mirroring the fate of the previous victims. The next morning, Gretchen confronts her father, Luis, demanding answers about what's really going on at the resort and what Koenig's involvement is in all of this. In response, Koenig presents a box that has been delivered to their home, containing all of Gretchen's mother's belongings. This revelation forces Luis to confess that he sold their old house, which infuriates Gretchen. As she processes this betrayal, Koenig stands by the window and starts playing a flute, which emits the same terrifying bird call that has been haunting her. Overwhelmed, Gretchen retreats to her room and listens to old messages from her mother's answering machine, clinging to the sound of her voice. To her shock, she hears a new message that sounds like it was created using text-to-speech software, supposedly from Alma, inviting Gretchen's mother to visit to make Gretchen happy. This bizarre message leaves Gretchen feeling even more disturbed and confused. Gretchen soon realizes that her family has disappeared, and Koenig informs her that Alma had another seizure and was taken to the hospital. He offers to drive Gretchen to the nearest train station, but instead he takes her to his own house. There, Gretchen finds Eric holding Henry hostage. Koenig reveals that Henry was recently dismissed from his job as a detective after obsessively pursuing a case that involved Koenig. Without warning, Koenig sprays Gretchen in the face with pheromones, overpowering her and locking her in a pool house. Determined to escape, Gretchen makes an attempt to break out, but the bird call rings out once again, trapping her in the time loop. She is then ambushed by the same teenage girl from the beginning of the film. Koenig emerges and explains his twisted experiment. The hooded woman is part of an ancient inhuman species that implants its offspring in human women, who then unknowingly raise the creatures as their own until they are ready to return to their kind. This horrifying revelation extends to Alma, who was not Luis and Beth's daughter after all, but rather the offspring of the hooded woman, with Beth serving as an unwitting surrogate. The teenage girl, a cuckoo just like Alma, attempts to implant something in Gretchen, but Henry manages to get hold of a gun and shoots Koenig and the girl, allowing Gretchen to escape. Gretchen and Henry rush to the hospital, where Dr. Bonomo is overseeing the final stages of the experiment to reunite Alma with the cuckoo mother, the hooded woman. Beth starts feeling ill and is taken away with Luis, leaving Gretchen and Henry to stop the nightmare from continuing. Koenig, having survived the earlier gunshot, arrives and kills Dr. Bonomo and her assistant, preparing to complete the experiment himself. Henry, believing that Alma is a monster who needs to be stopped, tries to hold Gretchen back. In a desperate move, Gretchen stabs Henry with her butterfly knife and frees Alma from the experiment. Despite Gretchen's efforts to save her, Alma pushes her away and runs off. The cuckoo mother appears, intent on reclaiming Alma as her own. Gretchen chases after Alma, only to be stalked by the creature through the hospital's records room. In a tense showdown, Henry limps into the room and manages to topple the shelves, temporarily slowing the creature down. Gretchen takes the opportunity to stab the cuckoo mother in the throat, killing her as she bleeds out on the floor. Alma flees again, nearly getting caught in the crossfire between Henry and Koenig, who are both determined to finish the job. In a final effort to reach Alma, Gretchen reminds her of the message she heard earlier, telling her that their mother had said, "Thank you." This emotional appeal finally brings the sisters together, and they share a moment of understanding. Gretchen tries to lead Alma to safety, but Koenig isn't done yet. He attempts to shoot them, but Alma lets out a shriek similar to the cuckoo mother's, disorienting both Koenig and Henry long enough for the sisters to escape. In a final twist, Koenig and Henry end up shooting each other at the same time, both men collapsing to their deaths. In the film's closing moments, Gretchen and Alma emerge from the facility, where they are met by Ed, who has miraculously recovered from her injuries. Ed offers them a ride, and together, The three of them drive far away from the resort, leaving the horrors of the past behind them. That's all for today, guys. If you liked this video, please leave a like and subscribe for more stories like this. Stay safe and see you next time.